Three, two, one.
So I don't do this shit for nothing.
All right. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Meet Dope Web3. Thank you guys for being here. I'm here, Nessa Rutazamba, with my co-host, MetaMu, in the building.
MetaMu in the building.
Hey. So we have a special guest today with us. We have the lovely, the exquisite Miss Rhyver White. Let's give her our fake sounds. Ready?
Let's go.
What's up, y'all? What's up? What's the vibes?
Oh, we're so glad you're here. So before we give her her proper introduction, I want to give you guys a really quick summary of Meet Dope because we're new and we're here trying to make sure that Web3 and the culture that is developing up there is not forgotten. So we're here to showcase all the dope culture that's going on Web3 to Web2. So we're here to let you know what's going on so you can be inspired to take your own Web3 journey. So now I'm going to pass the mic to my co-host who's going to give Rhyver her due respectful introduction. Okay? Take it away, MetaMu.
Yo, we back with Meet Dope, you know what I mean, with our guest this evening, extraordinaire, Web3 extraordinaire, business extraordinaire, entertainment extraordinaire, a person in a group that brings things together, that makes things work, that makes things happen. It has been a privilege to meet this person. I first met her in NFT LA, where she was running the show for Web3 Pull Up. Making things happen. And
Waconomy,
right? Making things happen and making things pop for her community. When people didn't have access to the main conference, what did her groups do? Put on satellite events to give access to people that look like us, people of color, Black and brown people, to be able to interact with Web3 and get their hands and their professions and their expertise in this space. So we got the one and only Mrs. Make It Happen. Hey, I just made that up. But
I noticed that.
Mrs. Make It Happen.
But I like that.
Captain, you know what I mean? We got the one and only OG West Coast repping, you know what I mean? In the building. Without further ado, Rhyver.
What's up, y'all? What's the vibe? Thank you, MetaMu. Thank you. Oh, I'm honored. Oh.
You deserve that plus more. No, and story time. I'm gonna interject and just say, like, Rhyver, respect to you because you do so much for, like, you ride for your community. And as MetaMu, my co-host, mentioned, she did events for the culture because NFTLA did not have events for the culture. Let me show you how much this is evidence and proof that she's really here for the culture. I went there, me and MetaMu, that's when we first met her. And guess what? I had never met her before except for on the internet. Like, we vibed, we talked, we had a shared collective mission. And for some crazy reason, she opened up her house to us. Why? I do not know.
Crazy.
But that just shows you, like, how much of a writer, how much she really cares about the artist, the artistry, and she goes so hard. And we just need to make sure that people who are not always the people in the front that are talking, saying the loudest are not the ones who behind the scenes doing all the work. And she does all the work. Like, she makes sure things happen. So, Rhyver, I just wanted to add on to that.
I appreciate y'all. I
appreciate you. All right. So before we get into the seriousness and go through, like, what you're doing on Web3 and all of the alpha you're going to give us, we're gonna get a little silly and go through a game. So I'm gonna pass it over to my co-host MetaMu. Let's get silly. Okay, let's do it. You ready?
Yes. Let me pull this up. So the name of this game is ever evolving. Right now, you got the edition called the Dope C. So how this game works is I'm gonna give you some ultimatums. We're gonna go through this list, and you just tell us your preference. It's gonna be pretty quick. It's gonna be like an either/or game, right? So we just like to give the audience and the people who admire you, the people who be watching you on Twitter, give them a little insight into who is Rhyver White.
Ooh, who really is Rhyver?
All right. So here we go. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so we got boxers or briefs?
Trick
question. Box.
Okay. This is gonna be fun. Tall, dark, and sexy, or shorter, scraggly, and handsome?
Yeah. What the heck?
Your face. If y'all on the podcast, go watch the YouTube. Her face.
Right.
They meant to put you on the seat.
Yeah. Okay. Short, scraggly, handsome.
Okay, there we go. Breakfast sausage or bacon?
Breakfast sausage. We can't mess with pigs.
Okay. Pop-Tart or toaster strudel?
Pop-Tart.
Okay. Pop-Tart. Okay.
In the South, we say part-tart.
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 Comic-Con or Fashion Week?
Fashion Week.
Okay. Dinner or lunch?
Dinner.
Kamala or Michelle?
Michelle.
Will Smith or August Alsina?
That's messed up.
The shade.
I had to throw that one in.
That's messed up, but Will Smith.
The shade.
You ain't right.
Right. Rhyver might actually meet these people. Right. Rhyver. That's not a good impression of Will, but
anyway.
You want to skip that one? Okay, she played the fifth.
Wait,
left eye or Aaliyah?
Oh, wow.
Did I cut out?
What was the question? I didn't hear it.
The last one was Will Smith or August Alsina.
Oh, Will.
She said Will.
Okay, Will.
Yeah.
Okay. Left eye or Aaliyah?
Can't pick.
Nah, you can't pick between that. That's hard.
They're both my idols for different reasons. Can't pick.
Facts.
I feel you right there. Missy or Ciara?
Wow, Missy. That's crazy. Y'all.
Mike Epps or Tyrese?
Mike Epps.
You see my pattern?
The shade.
I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that later. Favorite color?
Tiffany blue.
Tiffany blue.
Oh, okay. Very specific. Damn.
Bitcoin, ETH, or Sol?
All right, I ain't no Maxi, but I'm gonna say ETH.
Okay, yeah. Basketball or football americano?
Football.
Nicki B or Cardi B?
Who is Nicki B?
I mean, Nicki Minaj.
She's so quick.
Right.
She's so quick.
I had a typo in there.
Am I missing something? No.
Nicki Minaj.
You good?
I have to say Cardi.
Cardi. Okay. Beef or chicken?
Chicken.
Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac.
Would you rather have big boobs or a big butt?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know that one, you might not know the next one. Good D or a good job?
What?
The people want to know. These is from the people.
So people ask, we didn't ask these questions.
Job.
Okay. FAB or Kanye?
Not Kanye.
Okay.
Back it up or grab it?
What in the world? Y'all, wow.
Look, I didn't come up with these questions. The people ask these questions. This is not our doing.
Juvenile, wait, is Juvenile back that ass up? Back that ass up?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the people are referring to, not us.
Pie or cake? Pie or cake?
Wait, what was it?
Pie or cake?
Oh,
and the next one's the last.
Cake.
Last question.
So if money were no object, where would you go right now? What would you do?
If money were no object, I would fly first class to Italy and live there for another 8 months.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking
Traveling
about.
around that mud. What? Favorite place.
And you're gonna eat good while you're there, of course.
No way.
Right.
Period.
All right, appreciate you for being a good sport. I know
you passed
you for a little bit of a
loop. You threw me for a loop. I had no idea what you was about to do, but it's all right.
We like to put people on the hot seat. They change a little bit every week, but we keep a couple of the classics in there. But thank you for that. Appreciate you. I know I'm sure your audience.
Just to let you know, you passed the game.
Right.
You won. You won nothing, but you won. Okay. So let's move on. So now let's get into the nitty gritty, the meat, the juice. So can you tell us your Web3 journey? Like, where did you start and what brought you to this point?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, time out. I'm sorry. Erase that question because a lot of people who are listening, remember we're talking to this Web2 community. Please give us your definition of Web3 first, and then give us your Web3 journey, because I want everybody to put Web3 in their own summary.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So Web3 is basically any form of technology that is utilizing what's called blockchain technology, which is basically a new form of technology that allows for transactions to an extent be immutable and exist within a blockchain that you can keep track of. And Web3 is just basically, all of the different projects, companies, businesses that are utilizing that technology. It's going to be the new form of the World Wide Web, if you will, where we'll be using blockchains to transact, as opposed to just, how we're on social media right now. And there's not necessarily anything that you can use to track what's actually happening. The world can now see what's going on the blockchain. So that's how I would describe Web3. As it pertains to my Web3 journey, so I was introduced to NFTs by way of the entertainment industry back in 2020, I think 2020, 2021, one of the two, and had already been familiar with cryptocurrency, but wasn't as active as I am in, crypto, Web3, NFTs today. But back in when my company was first introduced to NFTs, I was at a management company, and we didn't necessarily pursue it because it just seemed like it might have been something that was a little complicated, and also maybe something that, as managers helping actors, writers, directors, and producers to navigate their careers and build out their careers, NFTs kind of sounded like something that would do away with the need for a manager. So I didn't actively pursue it at that moment. But I decided that I wanted to kind of just learn more about it and learn more about what it was, how it operates, how it works, what are the benefits, what are the pros and cons. And so I kind of took a deep dive, and ultimately decided at the end of 2021 that I wanted to just kind of take it a little bit more seriously and maybe just dive in with both feet and just learn more about it, and see how I could be making a contribution to it and how I could be implementing it in my own entrepreneurial journey. And so in the top of 2022, I decided to kind of take a hiatus from Hollywood for a little bit and just kind of go full Web3 to learn more about what was going on and see like how things were changing, how things could be impacted by the way of NFTs and cryptocurrency, and all the benefits that come with using blockchain technology as a tool. So that's kind of what brought me to where I am now. In January, I decided to kind of go full time, transition out of Hollywood for a little bit, and I've been working with a lot of different groups, people, orgs, teams in the space. And as of today, I am the chief visionary over at Waconomy, which is an NFT marketplace and an education platform. And then I am also
Woo-hoo! Big ups for Waconomy, because y'all doing
Right.
the thing.
the vibes. Yeah, chief visionary over at Waconomy, and I also am now part of a project called The Audit, where we are going through and we on a weekly basis we audit different projects within the Web3 ecosystem, whether it be marketplaces, PFP, profile picture projects rather, music, photography, all the different things that are existing within the landscape. We're kind of doing an audit of those and going through and kind of walking through what works, what doesn't, and quantifying our opinion on that. Not financial advice, but just kind of helping the community to better understand how to evaluate things before they use it. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
That's dope. That's dope. That's a lot. That's a lot.
A lot.
So where would you say exactly in Web3, would you say you have an expertise, something that you focus on, or are you just kind of like an entrepreneurial like person learning anything you can in Web3, or what would you say?
I personally take the opinion that Web3 is something that is incredibly generative and new. It's still developing every day over time. So anyone that says they're an expert, I question it. So I wouldn't say that I am necessarily an expert, because I can't be an expert in something that isn't fully developed yet. Like, how do I know what isn't even here yet? So there's that.
Right.
But I will say my specialties, if you will, are typically in creative strategy, marketing, branding, and implementation, creative implementation of the technology. Apart from the work that I do with Waconomy, I also consult in the space of people, just helping them to understand how they can be utilizing the technology as a tool, how they can take their regular business model outside of Web3, and instead of adjusting all of it to what Web3 is as it stands today, again, this is a very generative space, looking at it from a different lens and just utilizing the technology as a tool as opposed to building their entire model around it. And so that's kind of where I would say I'm specializing in currently, is more so the creative strategy and the creative approaches to implementing it, whether that be through NFTs, metaverse, and things like that. And really connecting people with the necessary individuals, components that they need to get their ideas, projects, visions brought to life.
Cool.
Nice.
Nessa.
So tell us, before we dive any deeper, we skipped something very important. Let us know, what are your gifts? What do you consider your gifts? Because we all have different gifts. Because I know your NFTs and I know everything you do, but this world doesn't know. So tell us, what are your gifts? And your passions.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the things you create.
Your passion and your gifts.
That
Okay.
is a loaded
It is a loaded question. But share what you want. I know we all have a lot, but share your passion and your gifts, whichever ones you want to share.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. I identify as a multi-hyphenate. I do a lot of different things. In life, I am a trained actor. I trained in high school, college, out of the country, did all the things. So very well trained actor. That is what my heart is. That was my first love, my first passion. So that is how I entered into the entertainment industry before I went on the corporate side of entertainment. So that's where I started. That's the end goal, overall end goal, for sure, is just to kind of kick it up in an island somewhere, I don't know, and just decide on what movies and TV shows that I want to do based on quality and nothing other than that. So my end goal is to really in where I started and just kind of like kick up and just be acting just because I can and just do it for the fun of it and not have to really be like dependent upon it for my livelihood. And in addition to that, I don't call myself a photographer, but I do take photos. I like to travel and take photos. So I have a couple different photography collections that are out in the Web3 streets.
In the Web3 street.
On a super cool social media app called Headland is where a lot of my photography lives. It's where a lot of people buy it and just kind of come through and show support, acknowledge it, love it, all the different things. And then I also specialize in epoxy resin art. So I've only released one.
What is that? Wait, before you define, like, because I know what it is and I've seen it, but please explain, because we also are streaming on the podcast. So please define, what is epoxy resin art? Because it's beautiful. Yeah. I've seen it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, it is a medium. It is a very expensive medium. I would choose the most expensive medium. It is a medium that basically is chemical based. So it's what am I even saying? So it is basically you mix two different types of chemicals, a hardener and the actual resin itself together, and essentially you can add dyes, colors, pigments to it, and it hardens over time into whatever the shape it is that you're trying to mold it into being. Some people do it as actual art, like they'll paint a picture and put epoxy on top of it and allow for it to harden over time, and that's how you get the like smooth marble to touch type of feeling on it. So I do a lot of different things as it pertains to that. I've only released one collection of the art in the Web3 space, but outside of the Web3 space, I've done a lot of different been commissioned to do a lot of different things on the epoxy side of things. So I make a lot of different stuff, like a lot that I just haven't brought into the Web3 space yet, just because I'm just waiting for the right platform, waiting for the right level of ownership in certain platforms. So you'll be seeing more of it though on Wakonomy. So stay tuned for that.
So quick question, would you equate, like, you know how, just so people who are listening on the podcast can get like a visual, would you equate, is this a fair comparison? Like, you know how marbles, if people are familiar with marbles, I don't even know now, like what people even know, but would you compare like yours as a physical, like sculpture with marble characteristics as a actual marble ball, like the marble is a ball, but you took the marble and defined it into 420 whatever it is, ashtrays or whatever it is you decided to make out of it? Is that a fair comparison?
Yeah, it does definitely look like it is marble in aesthetic for sure. I think that's just my personal approach. I've seen a lot of different resin art that doesn't look like that. Mine, however, some of it does, some of it doesn't. I think that I'm actually curious. I don't think that it all looks the same, but I will say
no, it's not the same.
They're
all unique.
But there's definitely other collections that I have not released that don't necessarily follow the marble traits, and they're actually a little bit more solidified. But to give a good explanation of what it looks like, you could say, you know, I don't necessarily have to sculpt it in the same way. I do have the ability to create my own mold into what it will look like, what it will shape into. So that's how I'm able to make it into an ashtray or you know, a shot glass, or, you know, a rolling tray, a canister. I have a lot of different things that I make it into. So that's part of how I'm able to do that, which is really cool. But yeah,
cool.
That's a good way to describe it for sure.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna pass it up. Was there something else you were about to say? Because I think I forgot a daggone question. It was something else you were about to say, and I cut you off.
I was explaining the gifts. So I'm an actor, multifaceted.
There you go.
Artist in different physical forms. And then I'm just a visionary and a creative. So I utilize all of my corporate experience in TV and film to kind of help me to just really provide that consulting and counsel on the creative strategy front. And then I have another business, which is like an interior design business. My brother is a contractor and I'm an interior designer. So we do a lot of different home refresh, remodel, remake, and stuff like that. So I got a lot
you do a lot because you do more than that. Because I've seen you do more than that.
I do, and
that
I'm
you're
probably
not mentioning
stuff. But for the most part, those are the things I'm thinking about right now. So
Facts.
You know.
Got you. So y'all just gonna have to stay tuned for the rest of the magic that she has cooking up. Okay.
Right.
All right, Moo. I'm gonna pass it over to you.
For sure. So you already kind of talked about your Web3 journey, right? You talked about how you kind of came across Web3. So I'm gonna kind of modify this question a little bit. Web3, right? Is it a main avenue for you to be, is this where you're making your revenue? Is this an add-on to a career? Is Web3 in your life to stay? Is it something you're testing out? Like, what is the future of Web3 for you? Like, you talked about your journey and how you got into it. Like, what is this mechanism going to do for you? Like, how?
Similar to what I talked about earlier, I utilize the technology that comes with Web3 as a tool. So it's not necessarily something that I will say is the be all end all for me. I think it's just something that I'm integrating into business models that already exist. And I think that over time, when we look at mass adoption of what the Web3 technology is, I think it'll be something that is more commonplace and we probably won't even be calling it Web3 anymore, because it'll just be normal, just like how the iPhones are the iPhones and Safari is Safari and Google Chrome is Google Chrome. And it's not like we're saying, what internet browser? Like, we're just like,
Facts.
yo, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's just going to become commonplace. And it'll just continue. The technology itself will be tools that I will implement in my business models, but it's not necessarily something that I am utilizing as my primary source of revenue, mainly just because my industry and my dominant expertise, which is the acting, TV, film side of things, is still figuring out how this technology can be used as a tool in that regard. And we haven't really seen too much of the acting side of things in this space just yet. So I'm in 2022 today, right now, on this conversation that we're having, I'm a little weary to say that, I'm apprehensive to say that it will be the be all end all for me. It is definitely something that, will be another one of the streams of revenue for myself in terms of the businesses that I have. But yeah, it definitely is not necessarily the entire focus of my career, for sure.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Nice. So with that being said, let's move on to advice and Web3 tools that you would suggest. So as you mentioned, your passion is acting and you're in this space, not necessarily by default, but mainly because you are let's not use the word hustler. You're innovative and you saw the future of a certain tool. So you were, you had the foresight to understand that this would be a powerful tool for you to use. So for people who, because there's a lot of people who are not in this space, and I know we're apprehensive to bring people on because of whatever bad actors or whatever bad things that happen, but it still is a tool that's not going to go away. It's going to evolve. It's just like finance. Like, we didn't have the financial knowledge and the financial tools or information that we needed to progress in finance, but finance still is there and other people are getting the bag in it. This is combining finance with technology in a very powerful way that you have started to capitalize on. So my question is, for you as a foreseeing, as somebody with foresight, to be able to understand how to get in, and you were able to have the vision to know, like, okay, this tool would be useful for me. What can you say to creatives, to artists, to actors? I'm just going to use the word artist in general, saying everyone. What advice do you have or foresight to, or here's a better one, why? Why should they get into Web3? Before we even get into the advice and the tools, why do you think they should consider Web3 as an option, not as the end be all, but as an option? Why should they get into Web3? Because most people are kind of running from it or don't understand it. So,
Yeah, from a business, artistic standpoint, again, like I said, I don't personally look at it as like something that is to get into, but rather something that is like you should understand how to navigate it, regardless of whether or not you choose to implement it, so that whatever decision you make, you understand the pros and cons either way. There's pros and cons from implementing it. There's pros and cons from not implementing it into your current strategy, your current artistic model, your business model, whatever it is. But one of the main reasons for me when I talk to any artist is I'm like, the blockchain and cryptocurrency was created because a group, a person, an individual, we don't know, Satoshi, was like, yo, I give this example often when I'm like teaching about it as well. Was like, yo, why in the world is it so complicated for me to be able to send money if I'm all the way in Russia? Why is it so hard for me to be able to send money to my grandmother who's in South America? I wish there was something that I could just create where I could just go and send money to her and she doesn't have to have a bank account. I don't have to pay all these wiring fees. We don't have to worry about all of the delay of all the days it takes to process that. I should just be able to, when she's in a sticky situation, control my money, do what I need to do with my money to be able to get her what she needs. No problem. She ain't got to have no bank account for it. She ain't got to have none of that. She don't have no identification. She don't have to go put herself at risk, danger, anything like that. How can we create and utilize technology to be able to allow for that type of peer-to-peer transaction to exist? That's where it starts at, right? So
yeah.
that's just the principle on what this is all built from. This is the impetus that the person or group of people was thinking when they were like, let's create this stuff, right? So that's what it's built off of, is accessibility.
Mm,
Oh, far how we come, how we have
mm,
come.
Right? We started out just trying to figure out how we can make financial transactions more accessible to people, regardless of where they are, regardless of whether or not they had a bank account, identification, anything. It can be purely anonymous if it needs to. Now, yeah, there's its pros and cons with that. There's pros and cons with everything. But
yeah.
if I'm an artist and I'm like, my goal is to have a global reach, and you're telling me there's a tool that I can use that can allow for me to reach people in Zimbabwe, that can allow for me to reach people in the UK, in parts of Asia, Australia, wherever it is, it can allow for me to reach those people and have that level of access to them without a middleman. Why wouldn't I want that tool?
Facts.
Right? As artists, we often have to go through so many middlemen just to get our music out there, just to get our artwork out there, just to get our voice, our impact, our brand. If you're a company, your brand, your business, look how many years it took before Netflix actually became what it is now, and look what happened when they became that. Everybody else started becoming it too, and now streaming is something that's massive. And imagine what this tool can do. Now you don't have to identify yourself in order to be able to participate. You can just participate. that that opens up a door for you to have a fan base and an audience that's bigger than what you ever would have imagined it to be, because there's a large portion of people in the world that don't have the ability to participate in the things that we're currently using technology wise, because they're restricted from being able to do so, whether it be government, whether it be having to identify themselves and they don't have the identification to be able to do it, whether it be lack of access to all these different things. It could be Wi-Fi, and these are also things that are not. This is not me saying Web3 solves all of these problems. It doesn't. There's still a lot of things that have to be developed. But when people ask me why should I use something like this, I'm like, accessibility. It's number one. Like, You want to be on an artist level, you want to be a global artist and really be able to have the direct to consumer experience. You really can connect with your fan base one-on-one and not have to worry about whatever parameters a streaming platform sets. And obviously marketplaces have all their different things. You got to do your research to be able to understand that. But for the most part, just talking about what the technology can allow for you to do as a tool, that's one of the main reasons why I would say it. We can talk about all the other, you know, financial benefits and all of those different things, but when I'm just talking about visibility, when I'm talking about accessibility, like
Right.
to me,
I mean, you onboard a
massive
lot of
tool.
people. You onboard a lot of people just like I do. When I'm talking to my young homies, I'm like, hey, you have the ability, like you're saying, to have an ecosystem around you. You're having the ability to really control your brand, your whole, you know, you're no longer just the artist. You are your whole ecosystem and whatever you want to do. And you can pull your team in, but that's your choice now. You're not being put into a team and just one member of somebody managing your things. It's a new level and you got to kind of step up. You know what I mean? You really got to like step into that. So I hear what you're saying. It's facts.
Yeah. I think too, you know, Nessa, to your original point too, my I guess my advice would be like, don't think it's easy. It's you know, I don't think I hear enough people talk about how hard it is. It like, yes, it sounds great to come and you can put your music on there, and because you think it sounds awesome, you can mint it on whatever platform and then it can sell out and that'll be awesome and that'll be great. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's sustainable. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen every single time. It's a lot of work. It's not easy, but great things typically aren't. So you gotta put in the work. You gotta build. It's not gonna happen overnight. Sometimes it might not, but it does require a certain level of consistency. It requires a certain level of humility to be able to say, I don't know how to do this. What do I need help with? It requires being able to evaluate and understand what you don't know and what questions you need to be asking. And while people it's interesting to me that I often hear a lot of people always being like, I don't want a team. I don't want this and that. And I'm like, bro, you really do need a team in here, because if you think
Right.
that this is a one person knows all situation, it's not. Like, especially if you're an artist or a brand or a business that is a first time artist, first time brand, first time business, you don't know what you don't know. Someone else might. Like, you have to understand brand strategy, you have to understand marketing strategy, you have to
Preach.
understand sales. You have to understand targets, how to target audiences. You have to understand technology in the sense of, okay, if I want to reach this village in West Africa, but their fiber optics are whatever, the Wi-Fi, whatever, you gotta,
They don't have Wi-Fi. They have power outages, etc., etc.
there's a lot that goes into it. So my advice would be to, I always say my biggest advice is create your business model separate from Web3. Like, literally, people can argue with me on this all they want. I don't care. This is still gonna be my advice. Don't build your business around Web3. Build your business around what your impact is. Build your business around what your purpose is. Build your business around what you're trying to accomplish. Once you're very clear on what you're trying to accomplish, once you're very clear on what the impact and the purpose is of whatever it is you're trying to build, then you can figure out how to use the Web3 tools to accomplish that goal. But if you start with the tools, you're only going to put yourself in a box, because these tools change every day. So you're going to be building around what's current today in these tools, and tomorrow they're going to be totally different, because we're changing the smart contracts. We're changing how all of this stuff is built. We're trying to figure out how to make it more environmentally friendly and all the different things. Stuff changes way too much to build your whole business model off of the tech. Just build your business model off of what you want your impact to be, and then figure out how the tech can help you get there. And
Say
if
it
it's
for the people in the back.
you
Shit.
know,
These
like
people is doing nothing.
that would be my advice. You know, it's gonna take a lot of work. Try and be clear on what you want to do. Try and be clear on what your vision is before you start trying to figure out how to make it an NFT. No, figure out how making an NFT can actually help you make X, Y, and Z later on down the line. Don't just let it be, I'm doing NFTs just because I'm doing NFTs and I'm trying to make a quick lick. That can be a thing too. But how does that help propel the business model, the business goals, all of that different stuff? And if it doesn't, pay attention to that, because you're gonna get to live in paycheck. You can go from being paycheck to paycheck in corporate America to being drop to drop, NFT sale to NFT sale in Web3, and it's not a good feeling, especially when you're doing it based on your creativity, you know?
Like River, like you dropped so many gems, and it's like I want to like you hit so many points that I want to kind of dive into, and I'm trying to like figure out like which one I should like what should I tackle first, like like it's so much, but like at a high level, one of the most important things that you hit on was about having a mission and a vision for yourself, because it does not make sense to jump into any industry if you don't know what you stand for and what you want to do. That's mission and vision. What do I stand for? What do I want to do? And as creatives and artists, I know that Web3 is shiny and attractive to people based upon the fact that you can have total ownership, right? That is an awesome thing. But if you don't realize that in order to maintain your ownership, in order to be able to move your unit as mountains, as a big conglomerate establishment, you have to understand the basics of how every other big unit moves. They have a mission, they have a vision, and they also have vision. I said vision. Vision. They also have compartments. So, like, I wanted to ask you something else about like the challenges you went through, but I that is such an important it's such an important topic that I really kind of want to dive in and move. Jump in if you want to say whatever you want to say in regards to this. But I want to make it really clear for anybody who's listening as an artist, because the whole point of us putting this on is to help our community, help our creators, help our culture, because I know everybody is trying to find a way to make a way out of all of this madness. So the whole point is for you to be able to learn from um, pain points and lessons that the OGs have already kind of been through. You're an OG, whether you accept it or not. So again, with you knowing your mission, knowing your vision, like how did you identify like me as an artist, as a creative? What was that process to figure out like as an artist, as a creative, I'm also a business, because most artists and creatives, and I get it, like you're creating out of your passion, out of your love. So you don't want to see yourself as a business. But if you want to kind of maintain full control, if you don't want to be taken advantage of, don't if you want to move like the bigwigs, you have to kind of learn from what they have done. What would you say is a key thing they should do to understand that business aspect, your mission, your vision, and key points they should do to understand what you explain, because everybody doesn't see it that way? Hope that's not too like broad.
No. Um, I just feel like it's the answers are within. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you doing, like, to me, I'm like, okay, you could come to me and say, you know, you want to start your business. I'm going to say, why this business? You know, what is the goal of it? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, at the end of the day, the answers are within why you want to do what you're doing. You can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that is like, I give these examples of these streaming platforms. Netflix was a team of tech people who came together and they were like, how can we make movies and TV shows more accessible, more available at any given time? You can watch whatever you want on demand instead of having to only be subject to whatever is programmed on the TV right now. And they were
Right.
like, I'm going to create this thing. That was a tech team that did that. They came and they created something that was massive. And what happened? a bunch of other companies came and did the same exact thing. And they're all multi-million-dollar companies now. Like Netflix was the first one to do it. Let's not be wrong, but now we got Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, Apple TV, we got Amazon Prime, we got all these different HBO Max, Stars, all these different things that operate the same exact way that Netflix operates. But what made them different? Why now? Why? Like that's always the question I'm gonna ask myself when I'm making any business decision is, well, okay, what's my impact? Why now? What sets this apart? Okay, HBO came and they were like, well, what sets us apart is we actually own all of this IP. We own all the Warner IP. We own all of the Discovery IP. So anything that's that, we taking it off of Netflix and we having it on our own platform. Sorry, Netflix, we're no longer continuing that contract with you. That's what makes us different. Disney was like, well, we own Disney. We own Marvel. We own we own ESPN. What makes us different from you, Netflix? We own all of that. Netflix has a run for their money. Now Netflix is like, everybody that owns all their own stuff, we're no longer different. We have to start creating our own stuff. Okay, we got to go hire all of the best executives. We got to go hire all of the best people. Why now? How do we stay relevant? We got to start making our own stuff.
Right.
We got to start making our own stuff to make us still be relevant, because our idea was great. And our idea inspired a lot of other people to innovate off of our idea. Why reinvent the wheel, right? Okay, now we have to get back to the drawing board. How do we make this fresh again? So I say all that to say, you have to think about why you're doing what you're doing. There's 8 other marketplaces. What makes your marketplace different? If you want to come build into, you want to be an NFT marketplace, what is it? Is it the level of ownership that you give? Is it the accessibility? Is it that people get to learn more? Is it that you're on a bunch of blockchains? Is it because of who you're interfacing with? Is it because of, what is it? Like, what makes you different? Why now? Right? And I think that to me is like, again, it's you have the answer to that question. Like the question that you're posing of like, well, how do you start to think like that? Well, you have to be intentional when you're building a business. Like, sit down, create the business model. Okay, why am I making this business? What is our mission? What are our values? How does it make money? Who is our target audience? How am I going to reach that audience? Like, these are all things that, yes, you're right. How does a person learn that? I say start paying attention to the businesses that are similar to what you're trying to do. Study them.
Right.
Study them.
I'm saying that to a lot of PFP projects too, because I'm in NFTs, a lot of PFP projects. A year ago, we're ahead of the curve. Now have fallen behind. I'm like, you have to innovate. You have to do something different than
because
everybody else is doing
because
it's cookie cutter. You know what I mean? So
yeah, all it takes is one good idea, and then somebody else is going to innovate on top of that idea. But you can't get comfortable in the fact that you did it first.
Facts.
Often in this space, people get comfortable with the fact that they did things first. Sometimes I actually prefer not to be first. I'm gonna learn from the person who did it first. Okay, what worked and what didn't work. Oh, let me not. Okay, so I know now what not to do because they did that. I ain't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's okay if you weren't the first person to do something. Sometimes that gives you everything you need. That's why we love at Waconomy. You will hear us say it all the time. Waconomy is a process. Everybody like, win Waconomy. Do y'all want something that's gonna last, or y'all want something quick?
Do you want something that's gonna be useful, or something that's just gonna be there?
You want something that you actually really have ownership over? Do you want something that actually champions whatever it is you're trying to bring? Do you want something that's actually gonna make sure that they honor what you're saying you want to do as an artist, as a business, as a whatever it is? Because we're not just art based. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, think about those different things, right? Like, I think that's the key to me is think about what it is that you're trying to do. And if it's never been done before, ask yourself what's close to it. How did that get done? Why and how? Regardless, business infrastructure is the same across the board. Business is business is business. There's a certain way that things have to operate. You can pay attention to any business, even if you're not trying to build another Fortune 500 company, whatever. You can look at how those businesses are set up. You can look at their chain of command. You can look at how the infrastructure works. These are all things that you can Google and find online to figure out, okay, how does a business structure actually operate? What's the best business structure for me?
Facts.
And why? Who do I need? Once you write down that list of stuff, like, okay, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Then write down how much of this stuff do I know how to do? Okay, I know the stuff that I know how to do. That leaves you with all the things that you don't know how to do. Then those things that you don't know how to do, look up who does that. How do you
Ah.
do that? How does that look? What does that look like? Who can I hire for this? Where can I find somebody for that? And that's how you can get it done. You know what I mean? So I would say, I guess that would be my advice or how I would answer that.
For sure, for sure. So still
Those
in
were
that,
gems.
right, right. That's dropping bombs of alpha up in so still on that vein of thought of advice. What like type of tools or Web3 protocols do you kind of interact with daily? Like what do you use? What do you interact with daily?
Okay. I will definitely say one of the things that I do is I have notifications on for like news outlets. So I follow Blockworks, for example, where they actively tweet out different news that's happening in the cryptocurrency landscape. And like more so on the like governmental level and like more so on the like this blockchain is deciding to do that, like, you know, just stuff like that, so that I just keep a sense of like, okay, what's actually going on the business structure level of things. Trying to think of what else I use tool wise. Man, that's a good question. I feel I don't find myself. Hmm.
Are
That's a
there
really good
certain
question.
platforms that you like? I mean, you got a MetaMask, you use MetaMask,
Yeah, that's
right?
why I'm like, dang, I'm about to drop. I mean, obviously I'm on so I have Gnosis Safe because I have a multi-sig wallet with one of the projects that I'm on.
Multi-sig wallet. What is
You
kind of going
said,
to that?
wait, Notes is safe. Is that what
Okay,
it's
yep, here
called?
we go. I forgot we got a Web2 audience on this interview.
Yes,
Let me back up for a
yes,
second.
yes, yes.
Forgot
And
this
then
interview
say what
has a Web2
multi-sig
audience.
is. Thank you, thank
So
you.
Gnosis Safe is another digital wallet that allows for multiple people, for example, who want to be shareholders, if you will, of a wallet. You know, so we're sharing our assets, like we're buying into a project together. You know what I mean? Or we're putting our crypto together to purchase something or to invest in something, and we all have to approve of any transaction that happens through that wallet. So we all connect our individual MetaMask's wallets or whatever our, you know, primary wallet is that holds our crypto. We all connect our primary wallet to that. And all of us that are on there have to verify every single thing that happens with this joint wallet. And if all three of us don't sign off on it, it ain't happening.
It
So it
ain't happening.
requires for all of us to kind of be on the same page. And so that's what we so I utilize that to just kind of stay up to date on some of the like things that I'm kind of doing some group buy-ins on. I do use MetaMask. I have notifications on for KuCoin, which is KuCoin and Coinbase. So that helps me to keep track. Both of those platforms I use to keep track of just where different cryptocurrencies are doing in the market. Are they going up? Are they going down? How much are they worth right now? Things like that. That's how I track that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I use as of late, I have been using I'm trying to think of what else I've used. I just had to
You
do
got artwork.
While you think about that, can I let me define what a digital wallet is for the audience. So
Okay.
everybody who's listening, think about it from this standpoint. When you have a bank account, your bank account is your account. The bank owns that account, right? But you trust the bank to be there for you when you're ready to make a transaction, take anything out, put anything in. So times have changed. It's 2022 now. I don't know when you guys are listening to it. Might be 2023. Hopefully, it's 2022 and you listen to all the episodes. This is episode number 3, by the way. No, wait, 3, 4. This is episode number 4. River, you are me, dope number 4. So, if you have a crypto or digital wallet, the difference between going to a bank and having a digital wallet means you, depending upon where you got that wallet from, you own the wallet. Not only do you own the wallet, that means you can't go to Wells Fargo, you can't go to Bank of America and ask for a list of transactions from that wallet. It simply means, hey, I have a digital wallet. I can now do transactions on the blockchain with this wallet. And River already told you guys that the definition of Web3 was being able to do anything you want on the blockchain, whether it's creatively, whether it's technologically wise, because you don't have to be tech, but you can just actually be a custodian or owner of a wallet, which is just like going to Hex. Hex, is that still a business? I don't know. It's like going to the mall and buying a wallet at the mall, but now it's the digital form where you can go
Right. So
anywhere
you are
on.
the custodian of your own finances. You are the manager of
You're
your
the
own
bank.
finances. There's nobody
You're
that's
your own
going
bank.
to come and bail you out. You bank yourself. You know, you keep a hold of your secret phrase, your security keys of your wallet, or any kind of account that you have that holds digital currency, and you are diligent in making sure that your money stays in your wallets.
And the
So,
responsibility that comes with being your own bank is a lot. So if you ain't ready
Fact.
for it, you don't have to
a
rush.
lot to consider. A lot to consider.
That's factual. It's very factual. Everything they're saying is sauce, but at the same time, for creatives, you guys have to take a different. I'm not talking to people who are just like happy with, working a regular job. I don't want to do anything like extra willy and nilly. I'm talking specifically to creators because this is your time. If you are pouring your soul, your heart out into the world, it behooves you. I don't even know what behooves mean. I heard it somewhere, but it behooves.
You use it right.
Thanks. It behooves you. It is your duty because you are your own business. You are your own entity at this point. Even though you may or may not operate that way, because technology is changing, you have a responsibility to yourself, to your family, to your craft, to everything you do great to understand how this Web3 world works, because otherwise they're going to come in and do the same thing that the record industries and everybody has done forever. They'll know how it works. They'll steal your creativity. They'll put it in a smart contract, put it on the blockchain where they own it. They'll be like, oh, we'll do it for you. And I'm going to shut up in a minute. We'll do it for you. But it's very important. I can't drive this in the head enough. Like, you don't have to know everything. Get a basic concept. Understand, what does it take for me as an artist to maintain my ownership and get into Web3? Start there, you'll be good. You got to understand how a wallet works in order to do that. Have a wallet. Carry on, Moo. Sorry, I know I went really,
Now
really
you
deep.
good, you good. So we're getting near the end. So I want to kind of get us through these next couple sections, right? So we want to touch on two last sections, including Web3 funding strategy and Web3 investments.
Yeah.
So to sum up this, and you can take the last one, Nessa, I'll take this one. To sum up Web3 funding strategy, there's a couple different questions in here. I'm gonna try to sum them up into one, so you can just talk briefly on them all.
Okay.
How do you get the bag in Web3? Like, how do people get paid in Web3? You ran a couple events, including one that we all attended that was dope for economy in New York City. My first time being in New York. You ran that one. So how do you
get LA?
And LA, right? So how do you get sponsors for events? So let's start there. Like, how do you get bag in Web3 as a job? And then how do you get funding for events that you do? And just like maybe 5 minutes. Like,
be real, because I know the dirty and the grimy behind it, but be real.
Right. You could be real on the situation.
Because we already know a lot of people pulled out and stole things, but like be real. Come on, River.
Yeah, no. I mean, all things considered, and this can happen in any industry for sure, but when it comes to fundraising is a very loaded conversation. as it pertains to whether or not you're raising funds for a project, whether or not you're raising funds for a company, or whether or not you're raising funds for an event. Now, event fundraising is a little bit different in the sense that it is not something that investors are going to get a return on their investment on in a financial sense. They might in a marketing sense, in a branding sense, if you're able to pitch it in that way. So a lot of what I do when it comes to the creative strategy is talk more about the power and the importance of experiential marketing and what that looks like. So that's just that part. The event fundraising.
Hey, time out. Experiential marketing. Let us know what that is.
So it basically just means utilizing events as a marketing tool for your company, your brand, or your business. So instead of just being like, I'm gonna go get a commercial and I'm gonna market my brand in that way, it's rather how can you come and create an event where people experience the brand, experience the company, experience what you're doing, i.e. experiential marketing, creating an experience for people that's a more physical, in-person, tangible, I can see the results from this, what have you. So fundraising for that is one thing. And I would recommend, doing that as something that brands, businesses, projects, companies, whatever, artists, however you identify, is that can be a tool that you can use in this space. Now, raising funds for a company or a project in this space, I can't say that I am an expert in knowing that. There are a lot of different avenues that you can do. Some people go the grant route. There's a lot of different grants that you can get depending on how your company is structured, whether or not it's a nonprofit, whether or not it's a DAO, which I won't explain, and we can have a different conversation about that, but you can look it up. Whether or not it's depending on how the company is structured and what it's for, you can apply for grants. Grants, you don't have to pay them back. Second strategy is venture capital, so going to actual investors. Some people don't like the strategy because it requires you to be at it requires you to allow for the firm who's investing to have a little bit more say into the business decisions
and ownership of what you have.
Not all the time. Sometimes, not all the times. It depends on how the deal is structured and what type of venture capital firm it is. But some firms do ask for ownership over your company. Some of them do not. Some of them literally just want a return on their investment, given that they want X, Y, and Z. Sometimes you can get equity. Sometimes it's different how it's structured. But just to give a quick overview of the different pathways. So you have the grant pathway, you have going to VC firms, venture capital, raising funds in that capacity, but recognizing that requires you give them something that may not just be a return on their investment. And then you just have the pure fundraising route. I've seen a lot of different people do, on the Web3 way would be GoFundMe. On the Web2 way would be GoFundMe. On the Web3 way, it would be like, Mirror, which is a platform that allows you to kind of raise funds the same way that GoFundMe does. I've heard about quadratic funding, which is something
Gitcoin.
People have been talking about, which is powered through Gitcoin, like Nessa saying.
Yeah.
So there are different avenues that you can go about raising the funds.
NFT projects.
NFT projects. Well, right. The reason why I didn't say that is because a lot of the most successful NFT projects do actually have investors backing them. So I'm just talking about how you can get money, period.
Okay.
Be aware. People should know that a lot of these big name projects that you're seeing, they actually did have funding. So that's the reason why I'm saying how to use funding. I'm not talking, you can use NFTs to make money, sure. But a lot of these big name projects, they already had a lot of money backing them, which is why they became big name projects. People don't know that though. But believe it or not, a lot of the blue chip projects, they had investors.
Quote unquote blue chip.
How do you get the investors? These are the different avenues how you get them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so before I pass over to Nessa real quick, like if you are comfortable sharing, like do you get paid in Web3? Do you get payments in E? Like how does it work for you? How do you get your bag?
So yes. So
Yes.
You
better be.
Because I'm like, that's a whole other, but there are different ways in which you can get paid in Web3. So you can get paid in Web3 via the crypto. Again, there's a lot. This is not financial advice. You got to do your research on what it looks like to get paid in crypto and what you need to do to make sure, for tax purposes and all the different things. It's complicated. You can get paid in crypto or you can get paid in fiat. I personally prefer getting paid in fiat or something that is a currency that is stable, so like closer to being fiat. But yes, the answer is
Okay,
yes.
for sure. Cool. Thank you. All right, Nessa, take us away.
So I'm gonna just like wind it up. At this point, I feel like River has given you guys more than enough gems. Like I'd rather go to part 2 before I even try to dive in and go to anything else, because I know it's gonna be a lot of questions even from that. But River, we're gonna get into the socials and other things like what you got going on next, whatever you want to
Give your
highlight.
cash app so people can donate to you for all this free
Hey.
But for now, first of all, I want to say thank you so much, Queen. Thank you for showing up to our podcast. Thank you for being you. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for being a friend. I stole that.
No,
Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Maybe not.
Eh.
She doesn't own the rights to that.
I don't own the rights, so we'll scratch it out. But anywho, River, thank you so much. But quickly, you don't have to do it quickly. Ignore that word. But shout out your socials. Where can we find you online? On Twitter, on Instagram, and also let us know what you're working on now and how we can support you. Like, we'll put your links in the description so we can purchase all of the dope ass NFTs that she has, because her NFTs are not regular NFTs. You actually get a physical product. Like, it don't get better than that. Like, that epoxy she was talking about, you can have it in your hand. Put the money in your hand. So anyway, go ahead, River. I'm gonna shut up now.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you all for having me, thinking of me, including me. I appreciate it. I'm on Twitter at by River. My name is spelled RHYVER. On Instagram, I'm at Rhyver White. What do I have coming up? I would just say follow
Instagram. Your Instagram.
At Rhyver White. I just said it.
It's the same. Oh, I thought you said Twitter. My bad.
Twitter is at by River. Instagram is at Rhyver White. White like the color.
My bad.
Follow Waconomy. That is the company I am chief visionary for. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter at Waconomy. We got some crazy stuff coming to you month of October, so just stay tuned. Keep your post notifications on. We do some Twitter spaces every week as well, so it's really exciting stuff. Nessa, let me actually send you this. And MetaMu, you operate as a parent to people in your hood where you from. We're having a parenthood space on Wellness Wednesday next week, talking to parents. So would love to have y'all there.
I'll be there.
The effects of parenthood on relationships, right? How, if you're married, or if you, however the situation is with your partners, how does that parenthood affect that? And then we'll also be following up with that, with the effects of parenthood on entrepreneurship.
And that's heavy, River. Don't go past that real quick, because that's heavy. Can I just highlight, because I know we be going through, but let me shout out again Waconomy, what you're doing with Waconomy and the spaces you guys have, because a lot of people in Web2 do not understand the power of the information that you can get on Twitter Spaces. They don't even know what Twitter Spaces is. When you log onto Twitter now, you have like a live podcast that you can not only listen to, but you can actively be a part of. You can come on as a speaker and ask questions. But Waconomy is doing something so special. Like, they're doing so many, I don't want to say the word relationship, but therapeutic spaces, meditative spaces. And also, if you are an artist, Tips is like a premier producer. They have those spaces where he's for free 99, guys. Free.99. He is not only giving gems about his process, he's showing you like dope ass artists in the space who are successful. But back to the therapeutic relationship spaces, it's really good for our community. Like, next week, as she said, they're having a space about, come on, y'all sit back and really think. Everybody has had to deal with a relationship with somebody with some kids, whether they're badass kids, good ass kids, whatever. Like I'm in a blended relationship. So that's why I was like, I'm gonna be here. Because I got some shit to say. And I want to listen to everybody else's things too. Because I have a relationship where it's like one person's the father, the other person isn't, but we're all together here trying to do this. We got other kids. There are things that you need to do to calm yourself down, right? Right? Calm the down, woosah, and find a way to navigate these badass kids that might not be so bad. It might be parental issues. Everybody blames it on
It might
mom.
just be creatives. They
might be creative
by this system. They can't be held in by this box of a system. And so we have to find other ways to reach them and other ways to connect them.
Facts. I agree with him wholeheartedly.
Right. So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say.
No, I had nothing else to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, appreciate you two beautiful Black women leading in this Web3 space.